Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Family Sedan channel. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse shared something today that he's never shared before, which is the fact that he's expecting that by the time it's all said and done, everything regarding the SEC v. Ripple case, Ripple will have spent about $200 million. I kid you not, $200 million freaking dollars. And he mentioned this at a speaking event. I'll go through some of the specifics and some of the quotes, but my favorite part in that he cited in the primary clip that's been circulating around on social media today was he just absolutely shredded Gary Gensler on basically the intent of what is even happening here, highlighting effectively that Kim Jong-Gensler is absolutely being intellectually dishonest. It's the whole thing I've been saying for the longest damn time, and I'm not the only one, but it's a jurisdictional land grab. It's all about Kim Jong-Gensler and what is, in theory, best for the SEC, but not those people that they are sworn to protect. So I'll be running through some of the specifics. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, I would also like to mention that there's no shortage of confidence coming directly from the top of Ripple, with the top being Brad Garlinghouse himself. He was just the other day at the XRP Las Vegas conference, and here's an article written about part of what he said, and I think the headline says it enough, and I actually mentioned this yesterday, so I'm just going to be brief on it, but I want to make sure you heard this. The headline is from the Crypto Basic: Ripple CEO on SEC lawsuit, quote, "We are gonna win this thing," end quote. And if you saw that clip, and I know many of you did, the genuine confidence exudes. It's very clear that he genuinely believes that what he is stating here, and he knows also, like, let's be real, he's on the right side of history in terms of the facts and circumstances surrounding this, as far as secondary markets, everything that we've been discussing, unquestionably on the right side, and so the confidence is well deserved. But even so, the amount of money being spent is just disgusting, and just when you see the amount of money being spent, it just, I don't know about you guys, but it makes me very appreciative that they're fighting back and for the betterment of the entire crypto space. So yes, for themselves, first and foremost, fair enough, of course, but for the betterment of all things crypto. And I really appreciate that because, well, okay, yes, XRP, my largest crypto holding, happens to be my very favorite cryptocurrency for a ton of reasons, but I also hold about 30 different cryptocurrencies, and I am excited about other coins as well. And I'm worried about my other coins getting attacked, which they are. I happen to hold Algorand, for example. The SEC says that's a security now. I hold Dash. The SEC says that's a security. And there's hints that Kim Jong-Gensler thinks ETH is a security. You've seen the things he cited about proof of stake, and when Ethereum switched to proof of stake on the same day he starts talking about that negatively. Just coincidence? I don't think so. So even back this past September, there was this headline from the Daily Huddle. Ripple will spend over $100 million defending itself against the SEC and XRP lawsuit, says CEO Brad Garlinghouse. So think about this. From last September, the expectation at that particular moment in time was that $100 million would be spent. I don't know the specifics of what's been changed. I didn't see him cite what that is. I don't know if it's because purely the lawsuit's been dragging on longer than hoped, and so you got to have the team on board the whole time, and just that alone is costing like a ton of money. But you're talking about doubling from what they were expecting just this past September, And so how many months is that? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so you're talking about like 8 months, roughly 8 months, because it was September 23rd, so close enough. Wow, that's such a massive increase here. And so for them to put that much money down. So again, $200 million. So let me cover the specifics from the day. This is from a CNBC article. Ripple will have spent $200 million defending itself against a lawsuit from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission by the time it is over, CEO Brad Garlinghouse told CNBC Monday. And here is a quote from Brad Garlinghouse. "With the SEC, we will spend," this is the first time I've shared this publicly, "by the time all's said and done, we will have spent $200 million defending ourselves against a lawsuit, which from its very beginning, people were like, well, this doesn't make a lot of sense," end quote. And so he said that at a fireside chat with CNBC's Dan Murphy at the Dubai FinTech Summit. The piece continues. The SEC accuses Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and co-founder Chris Larson of breaching U.S. securities laws by selling XRP, without first registering it with the regulator. By the way, I will note in parentheses they wrote after XRP, a cryptocurrency closely associated with Ripple. And I kind of appreciate that because for like most of the last 5 years, especially when mainstream media is talking about XRP, and sometimes even in crypto media still, like I've seen such crap written as Ripple is the parent company of XRP. Like, what in the ever-loving hell does that mean? Or they'll still write Ripple is the creator of XRP. But here they wrote something which is by comparison much more reasonable. A cryptocurrency closely associated with Ripple. You know, I'm going to take that. I'm going to count that as a win. That's so much better than some of the other tripe I've seen written. Anyway, Peace continues. Ripple contests the SEC's allegations, maintaining the view that XRP should be considered a digital currency rather than a security. Ripple isn't the only company the SEC has pursued enforcement action against. The watchdog required Kraken, a crypto exchange, to stop offering its so-called staking service that offers users interest-like yields on their tokens after settling charges that it sold unregistered securities. Meanwhile, the regulator has also notified crypto exchange Coinbase that it plans to sue the company over alleged securities violations. The crypto industry has been up in arms about the actions taken by the SEC, with some figures warning it may force companies outside the United States. Much of what the SEC has done involves applying existing regulations to the crypto industry, which was formed several decades after the Howey test, one of the key tests to determine whether something is a security or not. Garlinghouse said Chairman Gary Gensler and other SEC officials have made statements in the past which contradict the regulator's belief that XRP is a security. Okay, so I'll just pause a note here. Yes, the most shocking part of this entire story is that you're talking about $200 million. That is a massive jump compared to September of last year when Garlinghouse said it would probably be about $100 million. So $200 million, that's the shocking part. But this was my favorite part, because this is the part where Brad Garlinghouse is just calling it out like it is. And he said, quote, Brad Garlinghouse said on stage, "You have video footage of the chair of the SEC as a professor at MIT saying 75% of these digital assets are commodities. And now he says they're all securities because he's the head of the SEC and he's seeking power and he's putting power ahead of sound policy to grow an economy in the United States." End quote. Yes, spot on. I was talking about that at some point, I think within the last week, even pretty recently. I pointed out how Kim Jong-Gensler, back when, it might have been 2019, when he was a professor at MIT, and I know he was back in like 2018 too, but I think it was in 2019, he said on video that 75% of digital assets are commodities. And now he says all of them are securities, except for Bitcoin. What in the ever-loving hell is that? Does that sound like an intellectually honest person? Hell no, it doesn't. And so I loved seeing Brad Garlinghouse spout that absolute fact, frankly, which highlights, because what a disconnect. It highlights the absurdity of this. It highlights the intellectual dishonesty here. And this was said to CNBC, mainstream media. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it here. I also wanted to briefly mention, since this was at the Dubai FinTech Summit, there was other notable news, not too distantly related, having to do with Dubai here. Here's a headline from Crypto Basic. Ripple opens a new office in Dubai International Financial Center. And so Ripple continues to expand, and Ripple's going to be fine no matter what. Even if XRP were to be absolutely outlawed in the United States, which, come on. But even if you're talking about, it's literally illegal to hold it here, which isn't going to happen, but even if that happened, Ripple's still going to be fine, and they'll still use XRP everywhere else on the planet. So frankly, XRP holders outside the United States have a lot less to worry about than XRP holders in the United States, because we could still have some headaches ahead. But we all have to worry in the short term, because if we get bad news, it's going to have global ramifications in terms of price action. I think most of us suppose that's what's most likely anyway. But anyway, this piece reads as follows. Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse shared the development, confirming Ripple is expanding in Dubai. Garlinghouse also took to Twitter to reveal Ripple's expansion plans in Dubai. In the tweet, Garlinghouse said Ripple is expanding its operations in Dubai. Notably, Garlinghouse first announced the plan at the Dubai FinTech Summit. Quote, With 20% of our customers based in MENA and clear regulatory regimes being developed, it's no surprise that Dubai is emerging as a key global financial hub for crypto innovation to thrive, end quote. And indeed, there is sufficient regulatory clarity there, but not so much here in the United States where I live anyway. But one day, perhaps, one day, it's going to sloppily, messily get there, and the United States will be falling behind tremendously in the meantime, but eventually, I'm optimistic we'll get there. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the Moon Family Sedan.